One of history's more challenging brick buildings to be moved was Our Lady of Lourdes Church in Chicago, Illinois. The move included all of its contents, pews, altars, confessionals, and classroom furnishings. The year was 1928. City officials announced it was going to widen the street next to the church.
The church was trying to figure out what it would do, whether we maybe take a portion out of the church, make the church smaller, but what they decided to do was to actually move the church 180 feet in one direction to its proper location. Then they had to spin it 90 degrees, and then when you think it's all over, then they've got to still move it another 120 feet to its final location.
The church was 100 feet by 175 feet and weighed over 9,000 tons.
I mean, this was unbelievable. I mean, this was just an incredible feat.
Enter Albert Crow Sr., a partner in Crow Brothers Shoring Engineers of Chicago. They built their reputation on moving houses, thousands of them, but never anything close to this size. 150 men went to work on the project. First, they excavated around the foundation, then built a massive steel matrix under the church using 15-inch beams. More than 1,000 tons of steel was used. With the beams in place, 2,500 screw jacks were installed, and the structure was ready to be lifted. Slowly, the jacks were turned in unison, raising the massive building just inches at a time. It took 2 weeks to lift the church 6 feet. Next, cribbing was built beneath the structure, extending out hundreds of feet across the street to the new site. Steel tracks were placed atop the cribbing, and 4,000 solid steel rollers were laid out on the tracks. The rollers were 4 feet long and 2 3/4 inches in diameter. Acting like a giant conveyor belt, the idea was to skate the church 180 feet west across the street, pivot it 90 degrees, reset the rollers, and roll it another 20 feet south to its new location. The final step before the move was to attach a system of 12 heavy chain yokes and 72 pulleys to the beams, from which ran 4 separate pull lines. These lines were connected to capstans anchored in the streets. Each capstan was powered by a team of horses. On a cold, wintry morning in early March 1929, a whistle blew a signal. The teams of horses heaved on their capstans, pulleys groaned, cables creaked, and the 9,000-ton church and all its contents began to move, creeping forward at a foot a minute until it crossed the street. Here, the rollers were reset. The church was pivoted 90 degrees and moved the final 120 feet to its new location.
It was just an unbelievable feat to actually be completed and done without any sort of damage to the structure.
After this amazing move, it was then cut in two, and the vestry moved an additional 30 feet, increasing the overall size of the church. Crow hit his mark by less than a half inch.